Okay, so here's the second part of the notes, guys. Here, basically what we're going to be focusing on is we're going to be focusing on the accessory organs. So, as we talked about yesterday, you have the basic skin structure. Okay, you can see all of the organs. We have the hypodermis, or the subcutaneous tissue, same thing. You have the dermis, and then you have the epidermis. Now, one of the things we didn't talk about yesterday that I want to point out, especially about the dermis, is the dermis we already know is connective tissue. Well, one of the things you want to recognize about the connective tissue is that it's dense connective tissue. So that means we have collagen fibers, and those collagen fibers run in a particular direction. And this is partially why you have surgeries go in a particular direction. When they cut somewhere, they cut along what's known as a cleavage line. So, and I think we'll be talking about this a little bit more on the next section, but I just wanted to lay the groundwork here. So when you look at these, the fibers run in a particular direction, and we see this as cleavage. Now, in terms of accessory organs are going to be things like the hair shaft, the sweat pore, okay, our corpuscles here, in other words, our nerve endings, okay, the sebaceous glands, the erector pili muscle, here's another nerve, the eccrine sweat gland, the Pacinian corpuscle. These are, hair follicle, almost forgot the hair follicle. These are organs that help the skin to perform the basic functions. Okay, so basic appendages, glands, sweat glands, sebaceous glands. Now, sebaceous glands are what produce the oil. Sebaceous glands, this oil works with our skin to help act as both a waterproofing barrier, and it works with some of the other substances we secrete to create a bacterial barrier. Okay. Now, some of these in different parts of the body are activated at puberty. Sweat glands, we see eccrine and apocrine. And the apocrine glands are the ones that we see especially associated with the genital area and the axillary region. And the apocrine is, those glands are what we associate also with nerves. So if you get nervous or scared, or you get sweaty palms, you know, that kind of emotional response, we see that in terms of the apocrine. Okay? Now, the other appendages, or actually I lied. So sebaceous glands and sweat glands have secretions. These secretions are sebum and sweat. So you can see the differences in composition, and you can see the function that this helps to produce. Notice also that we see combines with sweat to create an acid barrier on the skin. This acid barrier here is what is antibacterial. It prevents bacterial growth. Now, you have a certain amount of substances growing on your skin. Things like yeast and things like that naturally grow on your skin. In some cases associated with some diseases, you have the growth of the yeast getting out of whack, and that's what leads to, if you see like a thrush in the mouth and you get that white, growthy, moldy looking thing, it's because the yeast is overproducing and it's just gotten out of hand. The hair follicle then is what we're going to deal with next. All right, so with the hair follicle, what you want to recognize is that the hair follicle is actually an extension of the epidermis. Okay, literally what we see is we see a keratinization process occurring. It's different than what we see in the skin. And so that keratinization process is what means that all of the hair follicle is literally a result of and an outgrowth of our epidermis. All right, so since the hair follicle is an extension of the epidermis, what you literally see is you see the keratinization process taking place as you move in, and this is also why the hair grows up. Okay. Now, the hair follicle, or the majority of hair follicles, are attached to the skin by the erector pili muscle. And it's literally just a piece of smooth muscle, which means it's involuntary control. And this is also why you can't really control when you see goosebumps or get the goose pimples and everything that happens in your skin. Now, the other appendages of the skin are the nails. And the nails are another form of keratinization. It's simply, when you look at this, you can see that you have the nail bed, you have the extension of the epidermis. And so once again, what you're seeing with the nail is you're seeing an extension of the epidermis, and you see a new organ being produced by a different type of, but still, keratinization process. There is a lack of pigment, which is why they're colorless. And so when you look at this, one of the things to recognize is, in essence, the nail is kind of protecting the end of the finger, and that's really why it exists.